Hello everyone and welcome back. I'm Kazu Trash and today we're going to be delving into something a little different. At least different for me. A top 10 list. More specifically my top 10 Gintama characters, or at least what I think are my top 10 characters. Since my last Gintama watch was well over 2 years ago now. So for some of them I'll be going solely off of my own memory. Basically the point of this being to see how my top 10 will change by the end of the rewatch. So, without further ado now, let's jump into what my memory believes is my top 10 Gintama characters. Number 10, Utsuro. Now this is a character who is very hazy in my memory, believe it or not. But from the few scenes I do recall, his introduction may just be the most downright terrifying and impactful of any characters I've ever seen. As soon as he enters the frame, he commands your attention with an overwhelming sense of power. All you can do is watch as some of the most skilled and powerful fighters are taken out one by one. The fighters in this case being the people we've learned to love over the past few hundreds of episodes. Utsuro shows up and decides this anime is now his to control. I guess that's why he's only at number 10 though. Right now, I mostly see him only as that force, though that statement isn't to be taken lightly. I'm sure as I eventually get there in my rewatch, he'll grow on me even further. For now though, he's sitting nicely at a number 10 spot. Number 9, Okita Sogo. Whenever you see Okita, you'll almost always see him putting on a show of sadism, and when he isn't, you can bet he's plotting something sadistic for the future. Beneath all of Sogo's evil actions though, we find out he has an incredibly weak heart to the ones he genuinely cares about. One of those being his sister, which made the Mitsuba arc all the more saddening when she unfortunately passed away. Sogo's also great because the guy just doesn't care, whether it's friendly fire or sleeping on the job. Hell, he even brings his own sleep mask everywhere he goes. Where I think Okita truly shines though is with Kagura. They almost always get into these extremely hilarious situations together. Overall, Sogo is simply a joy to watch, and earns his number 9 position quite easily. Number 8, Shimpachi Shimura. I don't know how I'd be a fan of Gintama without having Shimpachi in my top 10. Now, spoiler alert, I'm a much bigger fan of the other two, but Shimpachi can be pretty hilarious and quite serious in his own right. Maybe the reason I have him so low on the list is because even though he is a core member of the cast, he doesn't exactly feel like it sometimes. He becomes sidelined a lot. When he's not pointing out the ridiculousness of a situation or being the punchline of a joke, he's awesome. The clip I showed just now really emphasizes that. I have complained about Shin a bit here, but I still love him. I mean, hey, he is in my top 10 after all. With that being said, our idol-obsessed straight man finds his way comfortably to the number 8 spot. Number 7, Hasagawa Taizo. When Hasagawa's on screen, you know you're about to have a super fun or a downright depressing time. Beneath all the show's jokes making fun of him, in the end he really is a broken man. Or at least he should be, with the amount of crushing events he's been through. This guy's experienced every stage of life, from marrying and attaining a high-paying job to being homeless and living in a cardboard box. He isn't shy about expressing his suicidal tendencies, yet largely thanks to Gin and Hasagawa's own tenacity, he still does his best to thrive in a world that seems to keep shutting him out. That part of Taizo, along with some other great traits like his unnatural attachment to his sunglasses, lends to him being an extremely likable and sometimes relatable character. I don't see this homeless emperor ever leaving my top 10. Number 6, Takasugi Shinsuke. I love Takasugi, not only his edgy as hell character, but also his sparse placements during the show. Throughout the entire first couple hundred episodes, all he is to us is this ethereal being, who always seems to have some sort of huge plan in the works. The best part is, he only shows up at the tail end of most arcs to give us one more of those snarky smirks and maybe say a few lines, only to vanish again for who knows how long. He is a constant reminder that this is a living world continuously moving forward, which is good since most episodic anime can easily become stagnant. I think it's super interesting to piece all the flashbacks together to uncover the mystery of why someone would hate our protagonist, who, yeah, is kind of a dickhead, but I don't see why many people, especially his childhood friend, would hate him to the point of desiring his death. When we finally received that answer, that feeling was just as cathartic as it was horrifying. It's quite incredible to look back at Sorachi's foreshadowing and far-off plans which lead into these amazing payoffs. Number 5, Jirocho Doromizu. So this guy is someone who took me by storm, and it's one of the reasons why Gintama is my favorite anime in the first place. Honestly, the entire Four Divas arc is that reason. When he and Gin had their ultimate showdown with Kada, maniacal laughter and all, as well as with themselves afterward, it was one of the most genuinely fun fights I'd ever witnessed. Not only is he a badass who participated in the war though, he's also just a dad who loves his daughter, and I think that's really sweet. That, along with his past crush on Otose, creates a character who is simply difficult not to love. Number 4. Sukuyo, the Courtesan of Death. Even after 2 years of me not seeing Suki, her placement is still cemented in my mind as one of my all-time favorite females. Her design is downright killer, implementing her signature weapons as a quite fashionable hair tie. Besides her awesome design though, her character is quite amazing as well. Personality-wise, like all the other characters on this list, she is simply just a joy to watch. And her serious attitude bounces off of everyone incredibly well. Plus, there's also the fact that she has a crush on Gin, which is pretty damn cute. I thought I'd have a lot more to say about her, but I think that about covers everything I remember, so let's move on. Number 3. Hijikata Toshiro. Unlike the last few, Hijikata appears in the very first episodes of Gintama, and ever since then, this Mayo-loving freak has simply gotten better and better. Despite being somewhat of a stoic character, Sorachi constantly throws Hijikata into hilarious situations, like when he used Kondo as a snowboard, got handcuffed with Gin, or basically anytime Mayo is involved. Hijikata isn't all fun and games though, because the first time he truly stuck out to me as a character was during the Mitsuba arc, where he was faced with the harsh reality that the one he loves was going to die, and dealing with that is never easy. His decision ended up being to kill Mitsuba's fiancé who was exploiting her, even if it meant killing himself in the process. He is without a doubt one of the most respectable characters in the show, and I don't think I could ever hate him. Hell, it's hard to imagine him not on the top 10 list. Number 2. Kagura of the Yato clan. I'm not quite sure how they go about choosing voice actors and actresses for specific roles, but damn were they spot on when choosing Rie Kugumiya to voice Kagura. Every scene with her is either the cutest and most innocent, possibly the most disgusting and vile, or even the most badass thing you've ever seen from a female character. Rie Kugumiya has range, and she pulls it off in the best way possible. Like I was saying, Kagura is cute and innocent, but paired with Gin as her stand-in father, she can become quite naive to the world around her. It's endearing when she picks up on Gin's not so favorable habits and simply believes everything he tells her as if it's the truth. This also reinforces the reality that Kagura grew up without a dad and reminds us that she is still a child who is still very impressionable. While making this list, I've come to further understand that beneath Gintama's absolutely bonkers comedic episodes, the characters are still grounded in reality. I think without that extra touch of realism, Gintama wouldn't be as appealing as it truly is. What I love about Kagura, well, you guessed it, she's fun. Just an unquestionably enjoyable character to watch, and what more do you need than that? And finally, we have number 1, I'm sure no one guessed this, it's Gintoki Sakata. I don't even know where to start with Gintoki. He is without a doubt one of my favorite characters of all time, maybe even my number 1. Might have to check in with Foss on that one though. What Gintoki brings to the story is unlike any other. I mean, he is the protagonist after all. When we begin Gintama, unlike most Jump protagonists, Gintoki had already went through his whole childhood, completed his training to become a master swordsman, participated in a large-scale war, and made friends and enemies along the way. Just off screen. Maybe a bit of an extreme example, but this would be like if Rayleigh was the protagonist of One Piece as he is now, done with pirating and simply desires to live the rest of his days in a peaceful life. Only a handful of episodes after starting Gintama, this war that our main character had supposedly participated in was nothing more than a mystery, and we're left to wonder why, or possibly how the hell did this laid-back man we see in front of us ever earn the title of the corpse-eating demon? Granted, the actual reasoning for that is a lot less gruesome than one would initially assume, but you get the point. Gintoki has been through his whole story, and that's part of why I love him. He's not trying to achieve some insurmountable goal, he's just trying to live a life of peace with his new family, even if he does have some trouble showing others his true feelings. Oh yeah, and of course he is hilarious. Probably one of the funniest characters you'll ever come across. And with that, well, that about does it for my thoughts on Gintama's incredible cast of characters. When I eventually finish my rewatch, I'll make this list again and we'll see how things change. For now though, I'll see you later.